Yeah, this is an amazing format, Christy. I'm so pleased to have you with us.
Oh, thank
In
you.
terms of clients that you can actually work with, this is like fishing out of a barrel.
Well, I really want to give people some tools to navigate life right now in the deconditioning process. So it's really a lot of fun, and there's so much you can do with this on your own.
There really is, dear.
Yeah.
There really is.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a deeper education myself today. I mean, what you've given me thus far has been very valuable. So I look forward to more.
Oh, good.
More is a beautiful little four-letter word, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. Good morning, Kim.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Armin. Welcome. As we're getting started, one thing I wanted to invite people to do, I should have put this in the description, is it'll help if you have a pen or pencil and a paper. It can just be a scratch paper, because I'll ask you guys to record certain things to be able to check in and see how issues shift and change for you as a result of doing the process. That can really help. So if you can grab that, that would be awesome.
Christy, a quick question for you.
Sure.
A lot of people have asked whether this is going to be recorded, and I said, well, I would imagine so, but that's up to the presenter. So do you have a thought or a feeling about that?
Yes, Ben and I already talked about it, and it's already recording.
Perfect.
So it will be, and I did want to make it available to people because I know several people I invited are not going to be able to be here today as well.
Yep.
And it's just in Washington, we're having our first really beautiful spring weekend. It's in the 70s, so everybody's like, whoa, I gotta get out. So it's already recording. And Ben just said his Mac is restarting, so he'll be here in a few minutes too.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's definitely.
Well, that's good. That's good. I figured it would be, but it wasn't my decision to make.
Thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. 70 degrees in Seattle, huh?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It was 70 here a few days ago. It was snowing yesterday, and it'll be 70 again next week.
I know you guys in Colorado have the variability of weather like I've never seen anywhere else.
Well, we're right on the Front Range, and that's what causes all that. Can you imagine being a weatherman in this area?
No.
Good luck.
I honestly can't imagine it.
Yeah. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben.
Hi everyone. Hi, Christy. Hi, Kim.
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'm gonna let someone else in the waiting room. Okay, there we go. Ben, I was just telling everybody one good thing, and I should have put this in the description, is to have a pen and a piece of paper, because we're gonna do some testing before and after.
Okay.
So if you have that, that'd be great. All right.
Yeah, we're all ready for school.
Yep.
Too cool for school, but we're here anyway.
Ready and excited.
Yes.
Yay! That's what I like. That's what I like. And we got more people coming in. This is fun.
Then are we going to take a quick look at the transits? It's quite amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's really up to you. You can have a look if you want, or like, and because it's for Christy class. So I don't know, Christy, do you want to take a look on the transit before we start the tapping?
I would love for you guys to go over, thanks for asking. I would love for you guys to go over the transits in the beginning, because that also will lead into like just what we're dealing with right now, and how like the idea of EFT really as a tool for deconditioning, but also for just coping with whatever comes up in the moment. And so the transits will change whatever's coming up in the moment. So I think it fits in really well.
Well, it's
Totally.
quite amazing, Christy, because you know we have the channel of mutation, we have the channel of an apparently social being, which is all about mutation. We have the flow, okay, the 515, and we have nurturement, and this is really self-nurturement on a very high level.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad that you see it that way.
Yeah.
And I do look at this as self-nurturement too.
Totally. I can share my screen because you're the host. So if you do want to share your screen, or if you just want to allow me to share
I'm
my
gonna
screen.
allow you to. There you go. That should work.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Beautiful. You see what's going on. I mean, there's so much mutative energy around, all about nourishment and all about timing. I mean, what could be more appropriate?
Yeah, totally. Tom, would you like to keynote a little bit or talk about it?
Well, just when everybody gets in, I think we're waiting for about 10 people. My understanding was 10 people and 4 possibilities. So we might need to wait a little bit longer. I'm not sure. Well, maybe we have 10 people.
Yeah.
I think we do.
Well, hello, Nicole and Cheryl and Malene and Christy.
Hey, yeah.
And Armin. Wow, this is lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we ready to roll then? I don't know what time it is.
Yeah, why don't you guys get started? And I'm going to put in the chat box some information for everybody. Okay. And then they'll be able to put in their email, and I'm going to send some materials to everybody focused on how they can keep doing the process that we learned today for self-care, and a little bit about just the meridian points that we're going to be tapping on. So I'll work on that while you guys talk about the transits.
Okay, cool, awesome. Well, welcome again, everyone. I'm so glad you all are here, and I'm really excited that Christy, you responded yes to this invitation to do the class, because it's really nice. Let's have a look on the transit. We will have anyway a transit report tomorrow, but let's just take a quick look today. Yeah, we have a lot of channel here. We have channel of mutation. We have the channel of preservement, which is really about nourishment and caring, taking care of ourselves, nourishing our values. The gate 50 is the cauldron. It's really what kind of food are we putting in the cauldron so we can nourish and value, nourish and support our value. This is a channel that is here to support. It's a supporting channel. It support the tribe. It's a defense mechanism. It's going to be all about defending our values, supporting, nourishing ourselves. How do we want to engage our energy? It's coming out of the sacral. So how do we respond to choose to nourish our value that will take us to mutation, and it's all about staying in the flow. We have the channel of the flow here. 19, still, being sensitive to what? With grace, on how we can share our emotions, on how we can mutate, on how we can hear, being very acoustic and sensitive to sound, sensitive to what people are saying, sensitive to mutation. And same, we still have the node in 35, 5th line. So change. We have a lot of progress, a lot of change here. And today it's a second line, natural talent. It's our natural talent. It's a very good day to naturally do what we do the best. And it's also a hermit day. So thank you to all of you for showing up, because I know when it's a second line, sometimes we don't want to show up. We just want to be hermits. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. Tom, is anything else you would like to add? I wasn't expected to do a little transit. I was mostly excited to be a student today and, to be quiet and drink my smoothie and to listen. But yeah.
Well, I must tell you, I'm in the same position you are, Ben. I'm very delighted to give a projector the opportunity to be what they're here to be, a guide. And it's very intriguing. You look at the third hexagram, second line, it's the unrestrained acceptance of guidance. What a profound day for us to allow ourselves to be guided. instead of blah, blah, blah. You know, anybody who finds me with a lack of words has found me in a rare moment, but I'm not really much in the mood for talking a lot. I just wanted to set the stage here for our dear Christy. So it's quite something, the unrelenting energy for growth that will eventually triumph. That's the promise of all this mutation. We have the 50th hexagram, a discomfort with fixed in detriment, the discomfort with adversity that may lead to determined withdrawal. Withdrawal from what? Withdrawal from the way things have been. Look where the 42nd hexagram there is sitting there. It's all about nurturing. It's the 6th line, nurturing, okay? And it's the completion of a project. Interesting that we have mutation coming up, nurturing coming up, custodianship, which is all about caring. What do we want to care about? What do we want to care for? Look at the nodes, the 5th hexagram of waiting, the 35th hexagram of progress. We're waiting for progress. How beautiful is all of this? The 27th hexagram, self-sufficiency, the mother, the great nurturer. There is so much about nurturement here, okay? So we don't really need to dwell on it a whole lot more than that. I just wanted to set the stage here because it's really a remarkably beautiful day. The 19 in the 19th line in Saturn, the recluse. Well, we're all being rather reclusive, being distracted from what we need to be distracted from. We're on the cross of laws with the 3rd hexagram, the new files coming in. So I'm done. I have no more to say for a while. We're going to turn this over to our lovely Christy and let her show us how to sing this song, because that's what this is all about.
Thank you, Tom and Ben. And thank you all you guys for being here and those that have provided your emails so far. That's fantastic. I am going to be sending you all a couple forms and handouts that are super easy. I personally, when I was learning this process, kept them saved on my phone and they still are on there. And now I have these processes burned into my soul because I've used them so much. But it's really good while you're learning it to have a template and a process so that you can just look at it, apply it, and then before you know it, you'll be able to have it memorized and use it as well. So I'll be sending those. I'm also going to be sending a couple really great YouTube videos that some of the real pioneers of EFT tapping and TFT, or thought field therapy, which was the precursor to that, so that you guys can have a little bit of history and the science behind it and whatnot as well. And so yeah, anybody who puts their email in. So I'll go ahead and get started by introducing myself. My name's Christy Alexander. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I've been a licensed therapist for 16 years now. I had to double check that because it's kind of shocking to me it's been that long. I remember being a baby therapist and trying to dress up so people would take me seriously. And here I am in my 40s feeling good, being a 6'2" on the roof, and but still sharing my gifts when I'm invited to. I'm a projector, and I've learned that this is Projector Month with the hub. So I'm super excited to have been invited to share and kind of dive deeper into this process of EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And just so you guys know, there's another type of therapy, also EFT, which is called emotion focused therapy, which is fantastic. It's an attachment-based therapy for couples. But if you just Google EFT, you might get one or the other and get confused. Like, why are they not tapping points? Why are they sliding chairs closer together and having couples hold hands? Which is a great thing, but it's something different, just so you know. So going back a little bit to my own history and learning who I am and what I'm doing in this world, I've only been in my design experiment for 6 years at this point. But an amazing 6 years it's been. And as I've evolved as a therapist, one of the things I realized is some of my training was really insufficient for the way I was starting to see human beings and the types of things we're facing and what really is a mental disorder versus sort of a way of trying to cope with a world that's asking us to be other than who and what we are. So as my own view of people and myself and spirituality evolved, I would seek out, different teachers and different methods to, help me work with people in a way that was more congruent with who I am. So in a way, I kind of started, my deconditioning process there. And when I found human design, I was just off and running because it just resonated so deeply. I mean, I went through definitely the stages of grief when it came to being a projector, because I was definitely one of those projectors who was burning myself into the ground, trying to jump through hoops and behave like a really good manifesting generator. It didn't work. FYI, Cliff Notes. It led to a lot of health problems and specifically autoimmune and adrenal issues. And I can speak a little bit more to that. But so my own healing journey has really informed the work that I do with clients as well. And so as part of that journey, starting to work with more mind-body techniques in my own personal work and also working with clients has been really crucial, working with the connection between mind, body, and spirit to help people achieve healing on several different levels. And so when I started to learn about emotion freedom technique, I already had bought into the idea of energy flow within the body. I'd already been getting acupuncture. And so the idea of working with some of those same points with acupressure and tapping rather than the needle wasn't such a stretch for me. So going into the history a little bit, in the 70s and 80s, a man named Roger Callahan was working with people in his psychology practice, and he worked a lot with phobias. And he was using both traditional and more non-traditional techniques, and had learned a lot about Chinese medicine and acupuncture and things like that as well. And so he was working with a woman who, this is such a fantastic example, had a phobia of water, could not remember why. And this is what I find with so many clients. Sometimes trauma, often, I would say, rather than sometimes, trauma happens in this pre-verbal stage. It's also called the sensory motor stage of development, from neonate, literally the child in the womb, all the way through, maybe 2.5, 3 years old. Pre-verbal memories can be very amorphous and very, very, very body based. And so we don't always have a memory connected to an experience or a trauma reaction. And I could say a lot more about that, but that's enough about it for now. Suffice to say, the woman that Roger Callahan was working with had no clue why she was terrified of water, but it was horrible for her. She even had trouble taking a shower, getting her face wet, you name it. So one day Roger was working with her, and he noticed that she was saying, "Oh, I just feel so nauseous in my stomach. I feel so sick." So he knew, based on his knowledge of acupuncture, that this point right under the eye, and you guys can try out tapping it right now if you want, because this is one of our main points in our sequence. This under eye point right on that sinus there, the maxillary sinus, corresponds to an endpoint of the stomach meridian. So the meridians are lines of energy and flow throughout the body, kind of like nerve lines. And the one that corresponds to the stomach happens to end right under the eye. So he had this woman tap the point as she was feeling that nausea. And they were working near a pool, because exposure therapy is really the standard of care for phobias. And all of a sudden she's tapping this point and looking at the water, and tapping the point and looking at the water. And all of a sudden she says, "I think I can get in that water," and starts running toward the water. And he says, "Okay, stop. She says, "Okay, I'm not going to get in." But she starts splashing the water on her face, and she's just laughing, and she's all excited. And Roger's thinking, what the heck just happened? Well, we don't really know. So that's one part of it. We don't fully know. But what seems to have happened is traumatic material gets stuck in our body somehow. It could be stuck in the fascia. It could be stuck in these energy meridian lines. It could be a number of different things. It could be stuck somewhere in the subtle body. We don't fully know. But what he knew was that somehow by tapping that meridian, that woman was able to spontaneously discharge her phobia of water. And he continued working with her, and very quickly, within about a week, she was swimming, she was showering. Now, not every story is that dramatic, you guys. Not every story is that dramatic, but it was cool that it happened like that for her and for Roger Callahan, because that's really what got him investigating and developing thought field therapy, which is the precursor to EFT, or emotion freedom technique. And so he happened to know, of course, that, you know, this point right here is the end point of the stomach meridian, and she was feeling it in her stomach. She was fairly aware of her body's signals. But they realized not everybody is, and it would be a lot more user-friendly if they came up with a set sequence of points, kind of like an algorithm that you can tap every time and hit the end point of all the major meridians in the body. And so that's what they did, is between Roger Callahan and one of his students, Gary Craig, who adapted thought field therapy into EFT as it's practiced, you know, very widely now. They got a sequence and tested the different points, and they narrowed it down to a basic recipe that hits all the major endpoints that people can utilize. And so it's a combination of tapping points while speaking words with a very, very specific tone to them, and specific sequences of words. And a couple key things to it. Number one is self-acceptance. One of the huge hurdles that I notice for myself and others dealing with problems is we don't want to accept the problem. There's a fundamental thinking error where it feels like if we accept the problem, that means we're just giving up and the problem's just always going to be there, or we're just laying over and you know, saying it's always going to be that way. That's actually the opposite seems really to be true. That and so much of this is conditioning from culture, from family, where, oh, you know, I have an old story in my mind that the way to make a change in life is by beating myself over the head with the shame stick. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. But I've worked on that a lot. It never, ever seems to actually help me change anything. It just puts me in my inner child. And, you know, I might be able to whip myself into submission for a while, but that's not lasting and powerful change. Lasting and powerful change comes from a platform of self-acceptance and acceptance of the issue. And it's paradoxical, but when we accept ourselves and the issue exactly as it is, and we love ourselves anyway, and we say those words, our body responds. Like younger parts of ourself respond and kind of relax, and it drops the resistance to what's happening in the now. And it's that resistance to what's happening in the now that can keep us really stuck. And so you'll notice as we're moving through learning the sequence and learning the different aspects of verbiage that self-acceptance and love is a really key thing. And the next thing would be stating the problem as it is. And so some people say, well, why the heck do you focus so much on the problem in EFT? Isn't that just, you know, negative? Isn't that just like a Debbie Downer or something? No, we have to focus on the problem exactly as it is. It's kind of like the principle of shadow work with Jung. You have to really delve into the problem and state it and align yourself with that reality, and let it be spoken. Let the words connected to the problem be spoken in order to heal. And that's how we discover more about the problem and sort of different aspects of it that we might need to work with. Because a lot of people will say, well, why can't we just tap points and say, I'm never going to have a headache again. I'm totally fine. I'm totally healed. You can do that. But first you have to say, oh, this pain, I can't believe it. Migraine came again. I had to call out of work. This sucks. You have to be able to get through that stuff and acknowledge it and say it out loud. And while tapping the points, there's a powerful thing that happens. It's kind of loosens up and starts to get things moving. One of my mentors said, emotion is just energy in motion. And you have to feel it to heal, and you have to just keep it moving. And I think of physical and emotional issues as stuck energy, you know, clogs, like clogs in a pipeline. You know, imagine that all of the centers in human design, you know, like there's a pipeline, you know, throughout the body, and it's not necessarily straight, but the more issues we have stuck in any of those areas, there's clogs in the pipeline. So we can't receive nourishment from the root, from earth and grounding. We can't receive nourishment spiritually. So the more we remove those clogs, the more energy we have available. And so I know I just said a whole lot. I hope it's making sense, but I wanted to have you guys pause and ask some questions if any questions are coming up for you, or just any comments on things that resonate. Tom?
Started out here this morning with a nervous stomach. Don't know why. 40th hexagram is the gate of the stomach, okay? The amount of tapping that we did just now, I'm fine. It's relatively a quick situation. And this idea of stuck energy, I mean, the solar plexus, whether it's defined or undefined, we get stuck. When something traumatic happens, we lock up. And then
I call it bracing for impact.
Yeah, bracing for impact. And then we go into denial. We can't nourish ourselves when we're denying what's bothering us.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
That recapitulates patterns.
Already, it's pretty quick. It's not rocket science.
It's really not. It's really not. And a lot of it is learning the process and making it a habit. Like, it's doing these sequences and you know, I've been doing this a while, so I know where the stuck energy is a lot of time. And sometimes I just chill when I'm brushing my teeth and tap a certain point. This is part of the gallbladder meridian. But even just silently tapping the points, and I'm going to have you guys do it in a few minutes, has a powerful effect, and I'll explain why. But first, I want you guys to all think of an issue that's in your lives right now, a current issue. And it could be a physical health issue, a body issue. It could be an emotional issue. It could be a relational issue. And just with your piece of paper and writing utensil, just write down a short description of the issue. And if anyone has questions, don't worry about raising your hand. You can unmute yourself and go ahead. I'd love to help you out if you have a question.
Hi, I just had a question regarding the tapping and like an addiction.
Sure.
And so how might it be beneficial? So I'm also a projector, and so I have an addiction to busyness.
Oh.
And yeah, it's becoming, you know, a real, I've identified it now as an addiction. And so I just might, any information or you might have on that.
Oh, Karen, that's a great question, and I can really relate. What I would say is you want to kind of catch yourself at the moment where you're about to jump into the not self behavior of busyness. You know, the moment where you have an opportunity to do something that's more in alignment with self. And then but there's a question like, oh, here's something that I could do. Here's something that would keep me really, really busy and be part of that addiction. So you want to train yourself to pause and do some tapping in those moments. But one thing we can do today is if you write that down as your issue, and I'm going to be asking a couple people to volunteer as an example later, yours would be a good one for the second volunteering. So I'll remember you, but be sure to raise your hand for that if you're okay with working on it, because other people can tap along as you're working, and that will help them too.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, and I'll give you some more information later too on email. It's a great
Perfect.
question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so does everybody have their issue written down? If you don't, or you're having trouble finding an issue, just let me know. And now I want you to check in with how intense, like the emotional charge or intensity around the issue from 0 to 10. And 0 would be no charge at all. That wouldn't be a good one to pick, because then there's not anywhere to go with it really. And 10 is like off the charts. When you think about it, it's almost flooding you with emotion. So write down the emotional charge from 0 to 10. And that's your kind of before thing. So the 0 to 10, what that is in therapy speak is called a SUDS, S-U-D-S value. And what that means is subjective units of distress. So to you, how distressing is this issue? 0 to 10. That's what we're looking for. There's no universal 10 or universal 0. It's all relative to you. So here's one of the cool things about EFT tapping in groups. And again, don't fully understand why this happens, but there's a thing called borrowing benefits. Borrowing benefits is the phenomenon where in a group, if we're working on somebody's issue, and like, let's say we were working on Karen's issue around busyness, and everybody's working on that and just speaking Karen's words along with her, working on Karen's issue, not even focused on their own thing. And then we use another example. Let's say we work on Kim's issue or Cheryl's issue, and then you re-rate your own issue at the end. A lot of times you have a reduction in your own issue. That's called borrowing benefits. And I've experienced it personally so many times when I was in my initial training for this, when I've been in the advanced trainings, even when I'm tapping along with videos on YouTube, just learning a new skill with tapping. We don't understand why it happens, but I mean, we're deeply energetic beings and we're attuned to each other in ways that we probably don't even understand fully. So what I would encourage is, as we're working with examples, go ahead and tap along and just say their words and see what happens, because we're going to come back to your issue at the end and see what happens there. Just be curious. And if you don't experience any movement in your issue, then that's probably one to work with more in depth on your own or with a coach like myself, or I'll also be sending you guys the website for how to find certified practitioners and things like that in your area, if that's something you'd want to work with. Although with COVID and everything, more and more is on Zoom, which is cool too. So here's what we're going to do first is I'm going to walk you guys through all the different points, and you can practice tapping them with me. And I'm going to give you a short breakdown on what each point corresponds to. So first is the top of the head point. And it's really, if you had a marionette string, like right where that string would attach on the top of your head. And just, you don't have to tap super hard, however hard feels good. And I'm going to be sending you guys the chart in your email too, that shows you on your body. So the top of the head in Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, is called the 100 meeting point. And this meridian helps release the inner critic, lack of focus, and hamster wheel thinking. Kind of when you're stuck in a hamster wheel of thought. I don't know if I can relate, but and it allows for more insight and intuition to come through. Spiritual connection, focus, clarity are all things associated with this point. And I don't know if any of you have had acupuncture, but I know I've had a needle right in there, just real superficially before. And I get that pretty much every time I go to acupuncture. So she must realize I have issues in this area. So there's that. Okay, now we're going to do the eyebrow point. So this is on the inside of either eyebrow. And you guys can do one side or both sides at the same time. right at that inner eyebrow point. And this corresponds to the bladder meridian. And the bladder meridian releases a lot of stuck trauma, hurt and sadness, restlessness and impatience, frustration, and a vague sense of dread are all issues that correspond to this endpoint. Yep, so that's the eyebrow point or inside of eyebrow. Okay, and what it brings in when we have balance in this point is inner peace and emotional healing. That's part of what it brings in. Okay, so now we're going to do the side of eye. And so the orbit of the eye, that bone, kind of corresponds to the edge of the eyebrow. So again, you can tap one or both sides. You can use 2 or 3 fingers, whatever feels good to you. And as you practice, it'll become easier and easier. And this is one of my favorites. This is the gallbladder meridian. Now, here's a hot tip. If you ever have indigestion, you might think that you would tap the stomach meridian, which is also fine to try. But for me, and for a lot of people, tapping the gallbladder meridian helps with indigestion immediately. It's unreal. And so the gallbladder meridian helps to release a lot of stuck rage, resentment, anger, and also fear of change and muddled thinking can be released with this gallbladder meridian point. Helps to bring in a lot more compassion and understanding for self and others when this point is balanced. Okay, and under eye, just like we did before. And Tom is right, as we're tapping this one, that's cool, Ben. As we're tapping this one, I'll tell you guys, one time on a short flight, I was sitting next to somebody maybe 2 years ago who had a flight phobia and was feeling really nauseous. And I said, hey, I know this is random, but if you tap this point under your eye, it might make you feel a little bit better. And it did. And I was really happy to help that person because they were really uncomfortable. So this is more nausea. This one is like indigestion. In my experience, everybody's body is a little bit different. So the under eye point helps to release fear, anxiety, and worry. Kind of that worry that has its own, like it maybe doesn't even have any content to it, just like that general worry or anxiety that will be free floating and it'll sit down in different chairs depending on the issue of the moment. I know I used to experience a lot of that as a kid, young person too. Now knowing about human design, I think it was me picking up a lot of conditioning from my parents. My mom's a 5/1 manifesting generator with emotional authority. I think I was picking up a lot of her anxiety, honestly. What this point brings in when it's balanced: contentment, calmness, feeling safe in a sense that all is well. That all is well. And you'll get all of this information on the chart. So if you're feeling funky, you can look down the chart and say, maybe just tapping a point will help. It sure can. Okay, next point, under the nose, and you can tap it like this. I've got these crazy nails, so I tap it sideways, but it's that little divot right under your nose, that little indent there. And this is part of the governing meridian. It's part of the midline of a human being, the midline, where the cell splits when we're first conceived. And this helps release a lot of very old stuff like shame, embarrassment, guilt and grief, fear of ridicule, powerlessness, fear of failure, and psychological reversals. Psychological reversals are where, oh, it's a funny name for it. It's where we're getting something out of this behavior that really seems to not serve us, but we have some kind of secondary gain from it. Like I had to look at this a lot with my migraine headaches. As a kid, when I would get a migraine headache, I would get left alone by everybody. And as a 6'2", I really like to be left alone, 6'2" projector. And when I would get a migraine, I would get nauseous and throw up, and I'd be allowed to stay home from school, which I always wanted to do. So I basically would have this migraine, this horrifying headache and nausea. But then once I threw up a couple times, I'd feel okay. My parents and my sister would be gone, and then I'd have the whole house to myself to do whatever I felt like. So there was a psychological reversal where part of me really wanted to get rid of the migraine, but this really young part of me was like, oh no, we can't get rid of that. That's how you get your day off. That's how you get your break in life. So I had to really work with myself on that I can have a break without having to have the migraine. So that's one manifestation. Okay, next is the chin point, the little divot in the chin, or the crease in the chin. This is part of the central meridian. Releases confusion, uncertainty, embarrassment, and shame as well. And it really helps with second guessing. If you feel like you're always second guessing yourself, this is a great one. This point is also good for opening up. Like if I have someone in therapy and they can't quite seem to talk about what's going on or wrap their mind around it, or speak any words about it, I'm like, just tap your chin, and the words tend to start falling out. So if you're like sitting with an issue and you're not sure what it's about, you can be like, maybe I'll just tap my chin point, and sometimes the words will just come out of you. It's fascinating. Next one is collarbone. So the nice hollow spot underneath the collarbone on either or both sides. And this corresponds to the kidney meridian and the adrenals. This point feels very powerful for me, probably because I've had adrenal issues. This also releases psychological reversal and secondary gain, worry, indecision, and feeling stuck, and just general stress. Like this is one that I tell people when you're driving and you've got one hand on the wheel, go ahead and do this one if you're feeling stressed out by the traffic. It's also very grounding. This one and this one are my two ultimate most grounding points, but you'll find everybody's kind of got their points that help them. But these are my two for grounding, this one and this one. Okay. And that helps with ease and moving forward, clarity. Okay, here's an interesting one. I'm going to move my camera so you can see. Under the arm point. So this is the spleen meridian. So you want to take one arm and make a 90-degree angle with the elbow and the forearm. And then wrap that arm around and then tap wherever it hits. This is a little weird, but on women, it's usually where your bra hits. On men, just go for that 90-degree angle and find a slightly tender point. And it's either side, but notice I'm doing the 90-degree again. Some people like to use the same hand on the same side. I think that's a little hard. So I like to use the opposite hand. So this is the spleen meridian. And this helps to release worry, guilt. It helps with the immune system. It helps to release insecurity and hopelessness and poor self-esteem. And brings in clarity and confidence and relaxation. And now I'm going to give you guys a bonus point, and this isn't in the sequence, but I find sometimes it's helpful to add, especially if someone has liver issues. Right under the nipple on either side, as you're in the end of your rib cage, on either side is a point right there, and it'll oftentimes be tender. So you want to be on the rib cage, kind of underneath each nipple, and that's a liver meridian point. Now, like the gallbladder, the liver also corresponds to anger and rage. And if you have a lot of anger and rage, it might be worth it to sometimes tap the liver meridian. It's not in the basic sequence, but it comes up for people sometimes, or even if you just have liver congestion. There's a lot of, toxins in our environments. So I figured I'd throw it in there. It's a bonus point for you. And guess what? This is not an exhaustive list of meridian endpoints. This is just the basic sequence for tapping that covers the main ones. But you can always do your own research on the internet too to find other ones for specific other types of issues. So one thing I want to say before we get into doing some demos, first of all, we're going to be working with one other point that's kind of our setup point, and that's the side of hand point. We want to tap that with 3 fingers, and it can be one side of hand or the other. And we're going to be tapping this point as we do our setup statements. And we'll get into in a minute what the setup statement is. So here's something you guys can do anytime. Anytime you're feeling a strong emotion, a pain in your body, or a sensation, or you're feeling a high level of stress, you can do silent tapping. If the emotion is already activated, you don't even need any words. So let's imagine we're feeling a big emotion right now, and just silently tap through the points. You can do the side of hand. You can do top of head, inside of eyebrow, outside of eye, under eye. And this is about the speed you can go. Under nose, chin, collarbone, underarm. And we're going to leave off the liver one because that's not in the basic sequence, but you can throw it in there. So you can do as many rounds of silent tapping as you want. And do you like that, Ben? Ben and Tom have already been clients of mine before and done this. So that's why they asked me to do it. It does feel good. I mean, I feel like more limberness in my neck for sure. That's one place I hold the stress. Does anyone else notice any feelings or sensations in their body with the sequence and want to share it?
Hi, I'll share. I just noticed that my shoulders have been tense and I feel definitely much looser.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I just have to say real quick, Christy, the way you teach this, I mean, I've done tapping, matrix reimprinting.
Oh, yeah.
And I love all that stuff, especially matrix reimprinting, going back to the past and the future. But the way you explain it is so clear. It's the best exclamation, introduction, and I'm coming today as a beginner. I come with a beginner mind today. Ben taught me that. So, but I just love the way that you teach it. It's incredible. I'm blown away. My question is, and I've heard this over and over again, is you can learn tapping, but so many people just don't do it. And they're like, I just keep forgetting to do it. And I'm one of those people, I don't do it. And I don't know if you have any tips or suggestions to be more consistent with that.
I do. And Christine, I'm so excited you asked. And the fact that you already know it and you've also done matrix reimprinting, that is so cool. So matrix reimprinting is a way to apply the principles of tapping to a lot of like inner child, past trauma, like ways in which we experience past selves as echoes that come up in our life now, and how to heal that. That's a very powerful class. So to answer your question, Christine, the number one thing that has helped me learn and use tapping more and more in my life is teaching it to others and using it in my practice. And that's why I opened my second business to do coaching, because under the umbrella of licensed mental health counselor, you can like only work with people in your state, and it's got to be like diagnosable, yada, yada. And I can use tapping for that. But under coaching, I can work with people all over the place. So the more I'm working with people, the more I'm using it myself. And then it's in my head like, oh, look, it's after work and there's traffic. I'm going to do my thing. You know, the other thing is teaching it randomly to people in my life, like my sister, my mom, my niece, my partner, like all of that stuff has really helped, you know, over the years. And like my ex-husband, who I'm still friendly with, he always lets me know one of the biggest contributions I made to his life. And he has a lot of addiction issues, was teaching him the basic sequence of tapping. So sharing it with others is one way. Another way is making it a habit. And I always have to put things in my calendar as a calendar reminder if I want to do it myself. Like I'll put in the calendar, like whatever it is that I want to do. So I recommend doing that and then honoring that appointment with yourself, just like you'd honor an appointment with someone else or a class. And the other thing is like following along with people's YouTube videos. It totally helps. I'm going to give you guys the names of a couple people who have great YouTube channels for this. One of them is Brad Yates. Brad, B-R-A-D, Yates, Y-A-T-E-S. I just love him. He has things on every topic. And there's a bunch of other good ones too that I'll put in the email. So I hope that helps. But yeah, sharing it out to others is the biggest way I started doing it more. Okay, so number one, anytime an emotion comes up, you can just safely, you know, tap through the points or find a point that you really like that feels good to you and just tap it as a form of self-care. I'm going to put a plug out for who in the house here has a defined solar plexus and has emotional authority. Raise your hand if you have that. Okay. Kim, Christine, and Tom, and I think
I don't know for
Lori.
me.
Okay, that's okay. Ben can help you.
Yes.
And
yes, I have to.
Yeah. So here's what I will say about that. And Tom could maybe speak to it a little bit too. For you guys, a huge part of living your design is learning that there's no truth in the now. That when the big emotional wave comes up, the thing is to ride that wave like a surfer and let it pass. Let that pass. And then your truth will come after that emotional wave has passed. And I hope I'm saying that right. Tom or Ben, do you have anything to add on that?
Christy, you can't say it any better than that.
Okay.
The emotions are trying to get us to slow down in terms of our reactions, okay? And when we're emotionally aware, we will do more than think before we speak. We will feel before we act, okay? I mean, I'm so impressed with how connected this particular process is to design. Because if the passenger in the vehicle is not paying attention to the vehicle, good luck on the highway with that, okay?
So totally.
You know, this is so profound, folks. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. So what I've noticed, because I have a number of clients who have emotional authority and a number of friends who do, is that the silent tapping, just tapping through the points, can be a huge benefit to help you as you're riding that emotional wave. And it doesn't suppress the emotion. It doesn't amplify the emotion. It just helps you digest it. Like I think of EFT as an emotional digestive aid because it's like helping you digest something so it doesn't get stuck. And so it's interesting to me that, you know, some individuals that I know with emotional authority had a lot of stomach issues and tending to get stuck, and using the tapping can move through that and digest the emotion more effectively. And then you can kind of reset yourself. And not that it's only people with emotional authority who can do that. I know as someone with an open solar plexus, I sometimes amplify, and Ben and I have talked about this. We sometimes amplify and experience other people's emotions. Like when you were living at the house up in the hills by Boulder and your roommate Lowell was had a defined emotional center, and we both were like, oh my God, what's this emotion we're experiencing? And it was Lowell's emotion. And so he was going through something. And so we were tapping through, and, you know, and I showed Ben the tapping, but to me also as a therapist, for anybody in here who like feels a lot of empathy, like an empath feeling, and very, very intuitive. It's so helpful for me to check in, is this my emotion or not? And then use the tapping to move through it, let it pass either way. Like you want the wave to come and pass and come and pass. And you want to either ride it or dive under it. You don't want to stand firm and like let it knock you over. And the tapping can help with that. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, so that's silent tapping. That's it. That's a skill that anybody can use. And you'll have your chart that I give you. So, I mean, you guys are learning. So if you forget the points, you can go through. Christine, you obviously know them, but for others, you can tap them off the chart. Now, here's one thing that I want to put out there before we start working on specific issues. If we want to work within a window of tolerance, this is a concept in somatic psychology. There's a lot of good resources out there from Peter Levine, Bessel van der Kolk, Deb Dana are some of them, like Janine Fisher. There's a lot of like people who really are important in the field of somatic psychology. Ariel Taylor is in the Denver Boulder area, talks about this, talking about polyvagal theory and the vagus nerve that has 3 different branches and really governs how we're showing up in a window of tolerance. So imagine we've got this window, and everybody's window is a little different. Some are really narrow. If you've been exposed to a lot of trauma or have a very highly sensitive system, and then it's wider, kind of the more natural resiliency you have if you've done some healing. Some people are just, you know, they're set up that way. But below the window of tolerance is like kind of shut down, dissociated, frozen. You're in the freeze response. That's the dorsal vagal system going dorsal when you're kind of shut down from overwhelm. And when you're above the window of tolerance, that's like the fight and flight. You're overactivated. You're in the sympathetic nervous system. And below that, you're frozen. So we want to stay in that window. And so here's some signs for you guys. If you're getting to the edge of your window, because usually you go to the sympathetic first and then the shutdown, but it doesn't always happen that way. It doesn't always happen that way. So some signs might be you're feeling overheated or underheated. You're feeling spacey or out of it. You're feeling agitated or overwhelmed. Your eyes keep darting all over the place, like the eye gaze is like, these are just signs that your body is redlining and you're moving outside the window of tolerance. So what I'd like to invite everybody to do today is for your own self-care, if anything becomes overwhelming, because sometimes there's pockets of trauma that we don't necessarily know about that can come up when we're doing work like this. So if you notice yourself getting outside of your window of tolerance or to the edge, just tap the side of hand point. You can gently close your eyes or have a soft gaze on the floor. And just let your eyes slowly move along the floor. And let yourself kind of sink into the chair and ground yourself, because you need to reorient. I'm going to send you guys an exercise on orienting tapping. It's a mammalian response where we want to know we're safe by orienting to the environment. So you just tap the side of hand point to relax you. It's a very relaxing point. And look around slowly. You can close your eyes and tune into your body, but then open your eyes again and look around slowly. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you can either do that. And if you're still feeling overwhelmed, feel free to unmute yourself and say, Christy, I need help. and I'll help you get regulated, because the last thing I would want is for anybody to feel that the class or some exercise in the classes destabilize them. We can always find a way to work with that. But this is one of the most calming and regulating points. So you guys feel free to just unmute yourself. I can tell you, when I took my first EFT class, I'd been a therapist already for 12 years. And I had an attitude like, oh, nothing could come up in this class that could activate me. Well, it did. It did. And I was becoming numb. I was becoming dissociated because a topic got brought up that was really in my blind spot. And so I was embarrassed to say anything. But finally, I just told the teacher, and it was a really healing experience because he showed me how to get myself re-regulated. But there's no shame in it. It's only your body is telling you something, and feel free to let me know. Okay. So now I'd like a volunteer. And the first thing I'd like to hear about is now some of the not self themes with human design can manifest as emotional issues, physical issues, or both. So first, what I want to invite is somebody who has a physical issue, either a pain, discomfort, something with the physical body that's bothering them, and would be okay using that as an example while we all tap along and borrow benefits. So would anybody like to volunteer? Oh, Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, but it's not a pain that I'm constantly feeling right now. Is that fine? It's just like a health issue.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. So yeah, just tell me, thank you for volunteering. I appreciate that. So just tell me a little bit about it, and we'll work through it, and everyone else can tap along and borrow benefits.
Okay. So first of all, it's since Christmas, I've been having like pain in my upper right abdomen. So it's basically digestive in nature, I guess, because my digestion is all wonky, it's all over the place. And I'm right now in a difficult place. So, I'm in the middle of immigration, in the middle of COVID, middle of finding a new job. So I didn't have a health card, so I couldn't get it tested. So I've just been bearing with it for the whole time. So since December, it comes cyclically. So once a month or so, I get like pain and like if I inhale too much, if my diaphragm expands, it starts hurting in my upper right abdomen. And for the past week or so, it's migrated a little bit to my shoulder as well. So there's some kind of a carryover thing. So it's not been diagnosed yet. I have no clue what it is because of all the health card issues and all the bureaucracy that I have to jump through. So I don't know what it is, but it hurts now and then, and my digestion is very bad. Like, all my stools are like very bad.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And one thing I'm going to put out there is to get your gallbladder checked when you can. And we're going to work with the gallbladder meridian is one of the ones, it's this guy right here, this point here. And so one of the things you can do, I know you're going to go to the doctor when you can, and it's not always possible to do that right away. One thing that would be helpful for you is whenever you think about it randomly, go ahead and tap this one. Oh, thank you, Armin. Good to see you. You can watch the replay too, and I'll definitely be back. But Cheryl, this is a really great point for you to tap whenever you think about it, because that's going to stimulate healthy function of the gallbladder. Yeah, so that's one thing, but we're going to work through a sequence for you. So tuning into the pain right now, are you feeling it in your right shoulder as well as the right upper quadrant of your abdomen?
Right now, no. Now I'm just feeling pretty bloaty, which I have been for the past couple of months, like very bloated. And I did have like a shoulder pain, like now and then when you were speaking in between. But like after the tapping, it's gone down a little bit, so I can't feel it anymore.
I think your body likes the tapping. So right now we're going to focus on what you're experiencing, the bloated feeling. but we're going to acknowledge that it's part of a bigger pattern. And so I'm going to ask you to be creative. I'm going to ask you some things about that feeling. So I want you to close your eyes and use your imagination. There's no right or wrong answer. When you're experiencing the bloated feeling, does it have a shape? And if so, what shape would it be?
It feels like a black gaseous thing around me,
Mm-hmm.
kind of constrictive.
Very good. Not good that it feels that way, but good description. The black gaseous thing around me and constricted. Very good. And so the intensity of the feeling right now of the black gaseous constricted thing, how strong is the feeling from 0 to 10 right now?
It's probably at 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Okay, great. We're going to start tapping on it now. And you might find it easier to do without your glasses to get the points easier. And that goes for anyone with glasses. But so we're going to start by tapping the side of hand point. And Cheryl, just go ahead and repeat after me. And for everybody else, if you would please mute yourself, and you can repeat after me too, because like I said, you will be able to borrow benefits from talking about someone else's issue, from talking about Cheryl's issue. So we're going to get started now. Even though, repeat after me, even though I have this bloated feeling and this issue in my abdomen, it's like this black gaseous thing around me. It's constricted. It's a 7 or 8 now. And I deeply and completely accept myself. Good. Even though there's this black gaseous thing, bloated pain in the shoulder, digestive problems, and it's constricted 7 or 8. I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though there's this constricted, bloated feeling, and this black gaseous thing, and it's really bothering me. I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, so now that's the 3 times we say the setup statement, just like we did tapping side of hand point. Now we're going to tap through all of the points with a reminder phrase, saying her specific words about the issue. This bloated feeling. Good. Okay, inside of eyebrow point now, this black gaseous thing. Outside of eyebrow, this constricted feeling. Under eye, this bloated feeling. Under nose, sometimes my right shoulder hurts. Chin point. Sometimes my right abdomen hurts. Collarbone point. These digestive problems. Inside body point. This constricted feeling. Good. Okay, Cheryl, and everybody take a breath. Reset yourself. Very good. Good work. So Cheryl, now I want you to check in with the bloated feeling and the shape and give it another rating, 0 to 10. It was 7 or 8 before. Just check in to see how it feels now.
It feels a little bit more relaxed. Maybe at like a 4.
Maybe a 4. Okay. And has the shape or the color changed or the location in the body?
I just had the image of like adding out, kind of like the shape expanding and adding out. So it's not so dark anymore. That makes sense.
Yeah. So the shape expanded and added out.
Like add out, yeah. It's like it got diluted.
Diluted, yeah. Very good. I like your imagery. Okay, so we're going to tap through the sequence again. Ben has a question. Christy, you said something about digestion. Could we say that tapping can also simply help digesting life? Yes. Yes. As most of our issues are on how do we digest life, solar plexus, absolutely. 100%. So much physical problems and emotional problems are like things getting stuck in the digestive process of life. And so we always want to be, consulting health professionals when appropriate, but in supporting that, doing these processes can really help clear a lot of stuckness in the body and the emotion. Very similar to NLP. That's why we use, actually the words part of tapping are very informed by NLP. That's why there's some similarity. So definitely good question. So Cheryl, Tom, did you have a question?
More of a comment than a question. I tell people with digestive problems, and 40th hexagram, always about digestive problems, okay? It's the gate of the mouth, the gate of the stomach is the 37. I tell people all the time, it's not so much what you're eating that you're having problems with. It's the life that you're living that is causing all these digestive problems. You're having difficulty digesting the life you're living. So, yes. I mean, you can't get any more spot on. This is so strongly connected to design in so many ways and so profoundly experiential right here, right now. It's not theoretical. It's not talk. We like talk, okay? But it's experience.
This is true. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Ben. So Cheryl, we're going to do another round, and then I'll let you go, but you can always keep doing these rounds, and everybody can follow along. So start tapping your side of hand point. You're great. Even though there's still this bloated feeling. It's a 4 now. And I deeply and completely accept myself. Good. Even though there's still this bloated feeling. That shape and color expanded and diluted. And I deeply and completely accept myself. Mm-hmm. Even though there's more work to do on this feeling. I can use these skills. And bring some peace to my body. And I deeply and completely accept myself. Mm-hmm. This bloated feeling. Mm-hmm. It's a 4 now. Mm-hmm. That black shape expanded and diluted. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's relaxed some now. Mm-hmm. I can keep working on it. Mm-hmm. I have a new tool to help me. Mm-hmm. It's feeling better. And I can tap on it anytime I need to. Good. Good work, Cheryl. Take a breath and let it go. Fantastic. What do you notice now?
It just, there's sort of freeness in my body. What felt a little rigid before feels a little free now, like even in just like my joints and stuff, the way I'm sitting, the way I'm holding myself, I can feel that.
I'm so excited to hear that. Thank you so much for being the demo. I'm like, yeah, you rock. And thank you everybody for tapping along with her. And so that's an example, and you're gonna have the process of how to use EFT for a physical issue. And so on her own, she can keep going. And so Cheryl, one thing I would do is that freeness that you're feeling, you know, tap with that, even though there's still some bloating and there's more to do on this. I feel free now, you know, and I deeply and completely accept myself. Like you can keep building on that and adding. So nice work. So Karen, are you ready to do your example? Okay, you can unmute.
Yes, thank you. Hi.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna do this as using the EFT process for an emotional issue. So tell me a little bit about this addiction to busyness and how it plays out for you.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, a projector, and just recently it feels like it's just gotten very big. The distractions that constantly come in, they keep me out of the things that I want to do, such as, you know, setting up a routine for morning meditation, or doing my Course in Miracle lesson, or any studying. It's just like things just continually get thrown in my path, and I'm just so not focused, and I ping pong all around, and by the end of the day I've gotten nothing accomplished. So it's becoming very frustrating, and so the emotion is very big, and the ego definitely is. I can feel the anxiety, so I know my ego doesn't want to look at this. I experience that a lot, and so my ability to sit still and get anything accomplished is become very challenging.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Ben looks like Ben has a comment.
Yeah, I just want to share that if Karen, you're okay with this. You know what you just say? You say, I want to set a routine and I'm struggling setting a routine. And you say, I struggle being focused. I want to be focused and I cannot have my routine and I'm having a lot of frustration. And this is all what is undefined in your design, the gate of focus and the gate fifth, which is the gate of having patterns and routine. So it's really your mind taking you in this openness of your design and the identification with mind, trying to make you feel unworthy with your open ego, unworthy because you cannot have a routine and you cannot focus. So you're having all this depression, all these overwhelming feelings, depression of busyness, because you're looking to be still. The 52, the gate 52 is here looking for stillness. But is, you know, you want to feel still, but your mind is like, I need to focus on something if I want to feel still. I need to have a routine if I can find a balance in the middle of my extreme. If I don't have the routine and then I can't focus. And so there's frustration, but all of that is really not you. So it's really good that you pay attention on it, and Christy gonna really help you through the tapping to release what, you know, your mind thinks you have to do, but it's really not you.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Does it make sense? Does it make sense to you?
Totally, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, so, I just wanted to say that because it was like, oh my God, she's speaking all of this, you know.
She spoke her design, and this is exactly what we run into. And I run into it myself as well. So Karen, I'm going to ask you, when is the most recent time? And it could be this morning, the most recent time you felt that way. I want to get a snapshot of that situation.
Yeah, so this morning I got woke up by a phone call from a friend, a good friend of mine, and she was asking me how I was. And I told her what I was doing this morning. And the second she said, well, do you have a special, an intention on what you want to tap with? And it took me a second. And then as I remembered what it was, my busyness, I just broke down. I just started crying. And I actually had surgery yesterday, and it's just, minor carpal tunnel, but like, this is supposed to help slow me down. Right. And it's just like yesterday home from the hospital, like I just couldn't even lay down and heal my body because of all these things I thought that I needed to do, and so it became very in my face. Wow, this is really a fucked up problem I have.
Yeah. So how strong is the emotion coming up right now? 0 to 10.
Yeah, I say like a 10 plus. Yeah,
Okay.
it's big.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a tool. When the emotion is close to a 10, we start by just tapping the point silently. So take care of that wrist. And yeah, you can take your glasses off. We're just going to tap the point silently and try to bring it down a couple notches. Good. Tap your top of your head point, Karen. You're doing great. Good. Inside of eyebrow. Outside of eye. Under eye. Good. That sigh means your nervous system settling, Karen. You're doing great. Under nose. Very good. Crease of the chin. Good. Collarbone, right under that collarbone. Underarm. Beautiful. Good, Karen. So tuning into the emotion that came up this morning when you just broke down, what is that emotion? How would you best describe it?
Well, I think a lot of things that you said when you were talking a few minutes ago about like I'm just so overwhelmed. Part of me feeling like fuck, I'm just so messed up, like so much trauma, just like, am I ever going to find peace? So can just completely overwhelmed with life and being an empath, all these things you were saying earlier, projector, 4-6, emotional, solar plexus, all of that.
Okay, you gave me all the material I need. You gave me thoughts, emotion, all of that. So we're going to tap. Even though I have this overwhelmed feeling. I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Yeah. I'm working on accepting myself.
I'm working on accepting myself.
Good. And side note, if anybody doesn't feel like it resonates to say I deeply and completely accept myself, just say I'm working on accepting myself. Okay, I'm right here with you, Karen. You're doing so well. Even though
even though
there's this overwhelmed feeling,
there's this overwhelmed feeling,
and my mind can tell me
and my mind can tell me
I'm so messed up.
I'm so messed up.
I know that's not true.
I know that's not true,
But it feels that way sometimes.
but it definitely feels that way sometimes.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
Or I'm working on accepting myself.
I'm working on accepting myself.
Even though there's this big overwhelmed feeling.
There's this big overwhelmed feeling.
Like this morning when my friend called me.
Like this morning when my friend called me.
Am I ever going to find peace?
Am I ever going to find peace?
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
And I completely and deeply accept myself.
Okay, so we're going to go through the points with a reminder phrase, Karen. This overwhelmed feeling.
This overwhelmed feeling.
Good. Inside of eyebrow, this overwhelmed feeling.
This overwhelmed feeling.
Outside of eye, fuck, I'm so messed up.
Fuck, I'm so messed up. Unworthy.
Yeah. Under eye, I have all this trauma.
With all this trauma.
Good. Under nose, am I ever going to find peace?
Am I ever going to find peace?
Chin point, this overwhelmed feeling.
This overwhelmed feeling.
Good. Stay with that point for a minute. I think you're moving through a stuck point there. Just breathe. You're doing so good. There you go. Good. Good. Collarbone point, this overwhelmed feeling.
This overwhelmed feeling.
Good. Just breathe with it. You're doing so well. Okay, underarm point, this overwhelmed feeling.
This overwhelmed feeling.
Good. Good. Just give yourself a chance to relax, stretch out a little bit, take a breath. Karen, you're doing awesome. I'm so glad you volunteered. I'm so glad. So noticing now, how strong is that overwhelmed feeling, 0 to 10 right now?
I'm having a sensation of like very like tingly and a bit dizziness, like just kind of a lot of the overwhelmed doesn't feel as threatening in this moment.
Tell me about the tingling and dizziness. I'm going to have you, as you do that, tap your side of hand point and do a really soft gaze on the floor, just like we talked about. And imagine you're just rooting down into the earth. You're just dropping a root into the earth. And let your eyes just really softly take in the floor and slowly move around the room. Just like you're a kitty cat coming into a new house, checking it out. And what do you notice happening in your body?
And the tingling, dizziness isn't there so much. Like I'm present now, I'm here.
Very good. So you guys, that's a perfect example Karen gave us. If she was on the edge of her window of tolerance and she was able to come right back into her window by doing the side of hand point and kind of reorienting herself. Karen, you're doing so well. I appreciate you so much. And I relate to everything you're talking about. all of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're thinking about this morning and that phone call and the moment of overwhelm, what stands out to you now about that?
I think just how big it came up and the fact that I think it wants to be healed and I'm willing to look at it, even though it feels threatening and scary to me. I feel like I can go there.
I'm going to write that down. This is so good. Okay. Even though that overwhelmed feeling can feel really big and scary. I know it wants to be healed. I'm willing to look at it. And I'm working on accepting myself. Good. Even though that overwhelmed feeling can be really big sometimes. I'm willing to work on it. I can go there. You're going there right now. I'm going there right now.
I am going there right now.
And I'm working on accepting myself. Mm-hmm. Even though there's more work to do on this. I made a good start today. Mm-hmm. I can go there. I am going there. And I'm working on accepting myself. Good. Top of head. This overwhelmed feeling. Mm-hmm. Inside of I. This overwhelmed feeling. Mm-hmm. Outside of I. It wants to be healed. Mm-hmm. Under I. It's really big sometimes. Mm-hmm. Under nose. I'm willing to look at it. Mm-hmm. Under chin. I made some progress today. Uh-huh. Collarbone. I can go there. Mm-hmm. And underarm. It feels less overwhelming now. Mm-hmm. I'll keep working on it. Okay, very good, Karen. You can rest and take a deep breath. And you're doing so awesome. If you had to rate the overwhelm feeling 0 to 10, how big is it now, right now?
I heard 6. I think 6.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So I just love you. Thank you. I love you guys. This is such a good group and so supportive and knowledgeable and so much heart. This is a perfect example of how you can make a lot of headway in one session, and it'll come up and you can bring it down. It'll come up and you can bring it down. And every time a feeling comes up and you're able to bring it down, it takes some of the wind out of its sails. And so, Karen, a really good one to remember for you, and this is going to be in the email too that I send out. So if your email address isn't on there, be sure to put on there, is the side of hand point, grounding yourself down. You can imagine roots growing out of your spine and just gently letting the eye gaze move around the floor. Because when you're working with the issue that can get big and overwhelming, you can come back into your window of tolerance with that exercise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. And
Yes, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you.
yeah, you guys are amazing. So as we're wrapping up, we're a little over time, but as long as you guys are okay with that, I just want to say, Karen, can you mute your mic for a sec? I'm having some funny feedback. It's not, and I don't think it's on your end. Okay. You guys have been amazing. And please, 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 I'm going to put my contact information in the chat box. If you need some guidance, if you have questions, if you want some individual work, even if it's not with me, I would love for you guys to reach out. And I'm all about getting people where they need to go. As a projector, I wait for the invitation, and if there's a clear invitation and it's correct, my great joy is working with people where there's a correct invitation. But I also love to pass people on to where they're supposed to be. And even if you just need a little feedback here and there on how to use the processes yourself, I'd be happy to chat back and forth on that. But if you want more in-depth one-on-one work, I'm happy to do that too. And yeah, that's great. Ben says, contact me in the hub. Yes, please. And you guys are fantastic. This is an introduction. And, you know, for example, what Christine was talking about earlier, she's done the training and she's done that next level, the matrix re-imprinting. All of those are possibilities too. And you don't have to be a licensed therapist to do those. You can do it under the umbrella of coaching, energy medicine, even self-care. And so I'm happy to pass on information on those things too. And there's really quite a rigorous certification process with the EFT now. And I'm not even all the way through it yet. Like I'm, you know, 30 sessions into a 50 session process where you have to submit notes and have them critique your notes, and you have to submit videos. So if any of you guys want to be a demo subject for one of my videos, you let me know. But the thing is, these tools are becoming more and more out there in exposure, and I'm very glad for it. And practicing with others, wanted to put out there, if anybody has kids, nieces, nephews, grandkids, kids take to tapping like a duck to water. My best customer is my niece. She's always doing this, and you get to them before all that conditioning is set in. It's really powerful. So just wanted to put that out there. So before we wrap up, does anyone have any questions or comments? And then I'm going to ask you to re-rate your issue.
Yes, I do have a question.
Sure.
Well, you know, when we tap on the hand,
Yeah, steady hand point.
we can do, yes, we can do this on this end or the other one. It's okay. It's how we feel it, or yeah.
Great question. It's whatever you feel in the moment.
Okay.
Whatever you feel in the moment. Yeah. And another thing is, if anybody had, like Karen, I know you were doing okay with this, but if you couldn't use one of your hands, like you can, you know, like here's my knee, I could go like that, you know, or like on, you know, my notebook or something. So you can tap it on a surface too.
Okay.
If you
and
need.
Another question.
Sure.
You know, here under it, because I can do it like this, but and I will try to show you.
Sure.
But I felt like it would be good to do both sides, but like this, I don't like that. So I was doing it with my, like this, and just
like that
on both sides. Yes, is that okay? Because it felt good.
Totally.
Yeah?
Totally.
Okay.
Thank you for saying.
Okay.
It's whatever way works. And like I've seen people do it like kind of like that, but you doing it with the fist is great. And actually I'm doing that now. That really hits the point. So
yeah.
So it's like whatever works for you. And I'm glad that you asked. Thank you so much.
And the next thing is a comment, because I did EFT. Is it EFT? EFT, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I did it only once before today. It was on an EFT summit on the web, maybe a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
And yeah. And it was on 1 week, and I didn't took time, like Christine said, I forgot and both. And at the last day, I said, oh, I have to go look at this because it interests me. And I did one session, and it was like you did today. It was almost like that. And I felt so peaceful after. And I said, oh, I should do this more often. And today, when Christine said his comment, I said, oh, I forgot to do that too. And it's the same with Ben and the breath work. I forgot. And when I do it, it's like, oh my God, it's so good. I should do it. So thank you. Thank you for all that today. And thank you for everyone. And Karen, a lot of love. I felt sometimes like this, like it's just me that do feel that way sometimes, but everybody got tough moments, I think. So a lot of love to you, Karen, and to all of you.
Thank you. I mean, very much gratitude to you too. So right now is an opportunity for everybody to check on their paper. What's the issue that you came in with, and look at the number that it was before, and just give it an honest re-rating for now. See what it is for now, and then compare that to before. And some of you might have noticed a reduction. Who noticed a reduction in their score? Yep. Interesting. Who had the score remain the same? Did anybody have the score go up? Okay, very interesting. So we borrowed benefits today. Yeah. So that's just a really cool demo of how we're energetically connected, even working on other people's issues. So much gratitude to you guys, and for Cheryl and Karen,
Christy?
bless you. Thank you for this. Oh, Ben, yes.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I'm still learning on that, so it's really nice. I really like it. I've been doing it more automatically today. It's like as soon as something is coming up, I really have this autopilot of doing my own tapping. But I always wonder, can we go wrong? Like, can I make things worse? If I do the tapping, I have an emotion that is coming up. I'm afraid, I'm scared of something. I do my tapping, but I don't know how to formalizing, the words or affirmation. So can I go wrong? I don't know if you understand what I mean, but like, can I?
I do.
Can I program myself in the wrong way? Can I harm myself? Or.
So I have a really easy answer to that, which is it's hard to go wrong. It's hard to go wrong if you just follow the basic formula that's on the handout that I'm going to send to you guys. But when in doubt and an emotion is up, just do silent tapping. If you are at all in doubt, just do the silent tapping. Okay. That's the easiest way, and monitor your window of tolerance, because you usually don't go wrong with the words. It's because your subconscious knows the right words usually, or it just won't resonate and you won't take it in. But staying in that window of tolerance where if you're getting too activated or intense, just slowing it down, silent tapping, or tap the side of hand point. And the eye gaze, you guys, our eye gaze is so connected to the fight, flight, freeze response. And if we do a gentle and calm eye gaze, taking in the floor and then letting our eyes move slowly around, that will bring you back to baseline, just like we saw with Karen. So let that be your guide. And slow and steady is better than trying to move too quickly through activating material. You know what I mean? Thank you to Christine, and thank you everybody. It's so much fun working with you guys.
It is.
Good energy in this group.
Yeah. I just want to make a quick comment for all of you. Well, first to thank you a lot. But Tom and I are working on, we're going to start working slowly on creating like a very nice generator training, like having generator projector training that is additional to Living Your Design, Rave ABC, or the cartography, which is more in a daily life, how we can navigate. And I will send an invitation to Christy, because I really would love to have Christy doing the tapping as well. So it's something that Christy and I have been talking about on how we can really use according to human design, like I show Karen, the mind is driving us crazy. So how can we use tapping according to our North Self and open gates, open center in design, so we can process and release those emotions. So that's something that will come at some point this year in the hub that we will be able to offer. So we're going to work on that. It will be, you know, a class, a course. And I think, yeah, what do you think about having maybe a little topic in the hub, EFT, and we put the recording here? And if people have questions and they want to contact you and book session with you, so there's a little topic and everyone can go and find, yeah.
I love that idea. That's fantastic. And I'm so happy to do that. It's a big passion of mine, bringing EFT and design together. So thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. And I'll let you, Tom, I think you want to say something.
I do, Ben, believe it or not.
Yeah.
What an incredible demonstration of working together, giving and receiving as one, putting an end to separation. This is where we're going, folks. It's not us and them. It's not me, it's we. I mean, we keep talking about this. This is where we are going. And one thing about emotions, okay? I'm an emotional being, all right? Emotions are where we're going, folks. But where we're going is to clear emotions. We have not experienced clear emotions. We have experienced fly off the handle emotions. And that's why I get such a bad rap. But it is not the only possibility. And emotional awareness is coming to this planet. So I say, don't beam me up quite yet, Scotty. Seems like emotional intelligence might actually be arriving here. So let's just keep it in balance there, okay? Emotions are not good or bad. They're clear or they're not clear, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kim had a question?
Kim.
Oh.
I think Kim.
Can't hear you, dear.
No. Unmute yourself. No?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. There we go.
2 questions. Christy, when last time you spoke, you shared a link with us for, I don't know what it was on. It was something EFT. I remember looking at it and it was interesting, but then it came from the chat, so I lost it. So I think it might have been on advanced practitioners or on, it was just more about EFT, but I was enjoying going through it. And then when I closed out the internet, I lost the link. Could you send that whenever you send out the email?
Absolutely.
Or put it here?
Thank you. I'll send it whenever I send out the email, because I don't have it with me right now, but I know which one it is and it's saved in my email. So I'll send that out. Thank you.
Thanks. And Ben, I'm asking you so you can respond. What dates are we looking at for the raw ABC thing? Like the next
Rave ABC, I will check with Tom, but I think it will be a Friday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So I don't know your time. If Friday doesn't work, because I'm checking with the other Christy as well, you know, and Michelle and Laura, you know, the little group, eventually on Monday. So eventually having on Monday, 10 a.m. as well. The reason why I do the 10 a.m. it's because we have people in Europe and it's 7 or 8 p.m. for them. So I can eventually do early. So I could do like a 8 a.m. Eventually, but or 9 a.m.
If I have a vote, I can't do Monday at 12 my time ever. I have something every single Monday at 12. But
okay,
Friday's
so Friday would be, Friday. Okay.
And on Monday's an option. My time,
and
which
I'm
2 hours different from you.
Yeah, and we may start end of this month or maybe beginning of May for the Rave ABC.
Just making sure you knew there's still somebody for you to respond to.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you have a great weekend. And before we go, I'm putting my contact info in the box, just so you know. But everyone who gave me their email or reaches out to me, I will send you the additional information on tapping so you can do it on your own. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Tom and Ben, thank you for the invite to have me be here. And hope you have an amazing weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank everybody.
Bye-bye.
What
I
a
see you
beautiful
tomorrow.
demonstration of guidance, Christy. What a beautiful demonstration of guidance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care now.
Bye now. So beautiful.